If you're involved in the Fortnite space at all, then you obviously know, or at least the online space, you obviously know that Chapter 6 Season 3 is going to be a mini season, but Star Wars themed. This is something that I'm very excited for. This is something that I also worry about because this has all of the potential in the world. Epic Games can make this one of the greatest seasons of all time, but I do worry about a couple different avenues they could go down that really makes me worry about how the season's actually going to play out. So today, I have usually what we call a SypherPK style video and saying everything that Epic Games needs to do in Chapter 6 Season 3, but we're taking the slideshow approach for you today. We're going to get into it in just a second. Before we do, though, I do want to say hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels. Let's begin. I have some things written out over here, and we're going to be talking about them. Starting off with the obvious, return the Force Mythics. They must make a return with no durability and no nerfs. Something that Epic Games has absolutely loved to do in Chapter 6 is take some really fun items, add durability to it, nerf them when people start complaining. And don't get me wrong, we're going to be talking about separating casual and competitive as time goes on with this video. But there have been so many times now where we have had Star Wars, like, having a Star Wars collaboration, whether it being skins, whether it just being lightsabers. Epic Games just has not brought these Force Mythics back. And how many times have I said on the channel, guys, that Chapter 4 Season 2 Mega, with the Force Mythics, with the Spider-Man gear, with the Attack on Titan ODM gear, was literally some of the most fun times that I've ever had playing this game. A lot of people agree with that. I know there's a fair share of people that didn't like the Force Mythics, but it was very, very well received at the time. Epic Games has not brought them back. The Force Push, the Force Pull, and I don't remember off the top of my head what Darth Maul's was called. All of it was phenomenal. It made you feel like you were playing a Star Wars character. I loved the Jedi training. I loved all of it. They need to bring these back. If they do not bring the Force Mythics back, I will actually be majorly disappointed. I know, like, I always talk about setting your expectations, but this is just, like, something that is so easy for them to do. It's coded. Maybe, I don't know if, like, obviously I'm not a developer. Maybe you need to make it work with the map somehow. It can't be a lot of work. They need to bring this back. They need to have the Force powers. It was very well received. I loved it. This is the most important thing for me personally. The Force Push alone made me have so much fun with just playing this game in general, with my friends, trolling, actually using it like tactically. All of it was great. That is the most important thing that Epic Games needs to do in Chapter 6 Season 3. But let's continue on, guys, because it's not just about the Force Mythics. Obviously, I do want to touch on the storyline. This is something that I've been talking about a little bit recently because Epic Games has been doing a little bit of a better job lately. The Dark Presence that Epic Games is teasing right now must be storyline related. I have a very strong feeling that we are building up this Dark Presence coming. We are building up all of this story for the Spirit Realm for it to just be crushed. Oh, it's Darth Sidious. Oh, it's a collaboration. I am actually okay if it ends up being a collaboration. Just make it matter in the story. They used to do this great. I liked personally like how they did it in Chapter 2 Season 5, for example. Like, they had the characters welcome. It related to the storyline. Jonesy was going in and out of different realities. I was okay with that. But then we have things where it's like you have this incredible storyline with Doctor Doom, and then all of a sudden, nothing. Didn't matter. I hate that. They've been doing a great job with the story. We just made a video talking about this, and now we're building up to this Dark Presence. I want it to be something, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Spirit Realm related, but it really seems like it's going to be. There's a Dark Presence coming to the Fortnite Island, whether it's something original, whether that's the last reality people have been talking about, and I need to look a little bit more into it. People talking about them teasing the last reality. We're finally talking about the Zero Shard again. We could continue on with finally some storyline that we all knew and loved. I have a feeling that this Dark Presence is just going to be Darth Sidious. I personally don't really like that. I almost want to say that it's a slap in the face to storyline fans, but at this point, like, you have to accept it. It's just something that, like, why mess around with this? Why not just, oh, the Imperial storm ships here, Star Wars season starts. Why do we have to invade this great storyline that we're building up right now? I want to be invested with something like this again, and I hope that Epic Games does not ruin that. Will I be, like, all up in arms about it if it ends up being Darth Sidious? No, but I will be disappointed, to be honest with you. Let's continue on, though. Let's talk a little bit more about a possible event, whether that's a live event, whether that's a mini event. With the rate that things are going right now, it seems like we would have something along the lines of this. Now, you might be asking me, why did I choose a picture of Galactus? Because I could finally see them actually having something a little bit similar to that. I've seen a ton of concepts, and I think it'd be cool to use one, but I didn't have time to reach out to use somebody's concept as a permission for this. Imagine the Death Star in the sky getting closer and closer and closer, building up to some sort of live event. I personally think that'd be very cool. If it was a mini event, you could have something like the Daigo event, having a very fun lightsaber duel. I would personally really like that. So we do need to have a little bit of build up to it as well. Like, you can't just go, okay, Death Star there, something's coming. Would that work? Yeah, it would work, but we need to bring back fun quests, not, hey, go to this location, then this location, then this location in a single match. Bring back the fun quests to do. Cinematic trailers, Epic Games. This is something that the community loved so much. Tell just a tiny piece of the story. I've said this for a long time. The majority of storyline fans are fairly easy to keep happy. You just need to, feed them a little bit, okay? Map secrets are always really fun too, to like tease what might be going on. Maybe there's some plans with the Seth. And then finally, we need a payoff. Not like what we've seen with Doctor Doom. It was fun, but the storyline just came to a close, and then we move on to Chapter 6 pretty well. Like, there needs to be a decent story, a decent build-up, a decent event, and a decent payoff. It doesn't have to be a banger. Just make it at least decent. There is so much potential with what you could do with the Star Wars season. I don't know, I just hope that they get the job done, okay? Let's continue on, though, a little bit of the same topic as earlier. We need more Mythics in the game. Just some off the top of my head when I was putting this together. Force Lightning, that was one that Epic Games is working on. Palpatine's coming, supposedly, Palpatine's coming to the game. Force Lightning would be very fun. A Force Deflect, that's something that we haven't seen, but something that we know works with the lightsabers. A Force Mind Trick. Could you imagine if you could, I don't know, get rid of the UI? I think that'd be, or not the UI, excuse me, the HUD for your opponents. I think something like that would be pretty cool. The Force Grip, make someone freeze a little bit. I doubt that you could have the choke. Force Grip, a little bit of something similar to that. And the Force Sense, maybe you could mark a enemy nearby or a team nearby. Those were literally just off the top of my head. The amount of things that you can do with the Force are infinite. I would love to see more Force Mythics. But to be honest with you guys, if they were to just bring back the Force Mythics that we all know and love, I'm happy. I'm easy to satisfy. Bring back what worked. You don't even need to bring anything new, Epic Games. Would it be nice? Yes. But just bring back the old Force Mythics, man. Now, of course, we've talked about this next piece at great lengths on the channel, so I'm not going to go in too deep with this. Separate pubs and ranked. If we're going to have this crazy, fun Star Wars season, if we're going to have the Force Mythics, if we're going to have, if we're going to have potentially vehicles, I know people have been talking about with TIE Fighters, things like this on the map, the weird Force Mythics just pushing people all over the place, blowing through builds. I don't know what's coming. It's not fair to make the competitive players play with it. You need to separate casual and competitive. You need a reason to play ranked. You need a reason to play pubs. Go crazy with the pubs. Don't nerf anything. The people who don't want to play that can go play competitive. It needs to be separated, and I will be sitting here saying it until the end of time. I will never understand why Epic Games doesn't do that. Let's continue on. We need to buff all of the blasters. I want to play with some Star Wars weapons in a Star Wars season. Every time we have had a Star Wars item that is a blaster or a type of gun besides maybe the Mandalorian sniper, but even then, that wasn't that great. It's just so useless. And I know if you want to dive into the meme too, if you have a Stormtrooper blaster, it misses. I think there's humor in that, but every gun is not worth picking up. If you're having a Star Wars season, I want to play with the Star Wars weapons. Chapter 6 Season 1, I wanted to play with the Japanese-inspired Mythics. Weapons. In Chapter 6 Season 2, I want to play with the Lawless Loot. I want to play with the Laser Beam. I want to play with the Bat. I want to play with Star Wars weapons when I play this. So, we need a buff on all of the blasters. If you want to talk about just the Stormtrooper blaster, that's fine, okay? But everything else, buff it. Let's continue on to something that Epic Games has the potential to do. And again, not going to dive too deep into it because we talked about this, again, at great lengths on the channel. A mothership minigame. A lot of people have been talking about this Imperial ship coming to the island. Epic Games has the potential to bring back some sort of mothership type minigame. What is the big problem that everybody has in pubs right now? You walk around doing nothing for a lot of the game. There's a lot of bots, then everybody dies right away. This fixed that in Chapter 2 Season 7, and we never saw it again. Bring back a minigame, take care of that boring piece right after the first drop spot, makes for a ton of chaos, have a fun minigame, have the same minigame, just make it Star Wars themed. I'm okay with that. That fixed so much of the problems in pubs. Bring it back. We have the potential. I'd love to see this thing looming over the entirety of the map the entire time. This has so much potential, guys. This entire season has so much potential. Let's continue on, and shout out to Sizzle, by the way, because he did come up with and help me with a couple of these ideas, and this was one of his ideas that were absolutely necessary, in my opinion. We need to go all out with the locations. Guys, there's been a lot of times where we have had not only season themes, but Star Wars themes, where it's like, okay, this is coming to the island. And then it's just like one simple landmark. I don't want to see some bases just like this across the map, just here and there. Okay, it's still the Fortnite map, just with a couple Star Wars things sprinkled here and there. I don't want to see that. Could you imagine, like, with all of the history of Star Wars shows, movies, whatever you want to use, the potential that they have for some of the coolest POIs of all time are here. We need to have some grand POIs. We need to have some landmarks. We need to have a Star Wars biome. If you're going to do this, go all out with the locations. I don't want to feel like I'm just being, like, visited just a little bit by Star Wars. No, we're having a Star Wars themed season. Bring the locations. We need this. We need this. I don't want to still play on the Lawless map. I still don't want to play Crime City in a Star Wars season. You know what I mean? Let's continue on to another idea. I've talked about this as well on the channel before, but I believe this is also important because we are having a collaboration season, and I'm somebody who personally understands that, and I would imagine a lot of you watching this video too understands that not everybody likes collaboration seasons, and you are totally fair for that. Like, I completely understand why you would hate something like this. So, I've always thought you should have 2 battle passes. 2 passes, all original characters, no blended skins. One of these battle passes will be Star Wars themed. Another of these battle passes will be original characters. And by all, I should have mentioned all original characters. Like, I should have been a little more specific with that. I'm an idiot. Sorry. But you need 2 battle passes to satisfy the people who don't want to play with the collaboration, to satisfy the people who don't like Star Wars. And Epic Games, I can't imagine. I know it's a little bit more development time, right? I understand that. You have to make new skins. You have to make a whole 100 new tiers, okay? You have to profit from that. There's no way they don't profit from doing that. Regardless, 2 passes seems like a good way to fix things. Plus, we have all of the metaverse modes right now, so the people who still want to grind a battle pass and don't want to play with the Star Wars season, they don't have to. No blended skins either. I'm personally someone who loves the blended skins, like I'm talking about like Peelverine or something like that, right? Where you have a Fortnite original character and you have a Marvel original character, put them together, it's a happy medium. I personally love those skins, but there's no secret that the vast majority of the Fortnite community does not like those types of skins. So we also need original characters in the sense where it's Fortnite original characters, Star Wars original characters, General Grievous as well. Bring that to the game. 2 battle passes seems like something that Epic Games needs to do at this point. Let's talk about the elephant in the room though. Lightsabers. If they do not release the pickaxe this time around, I'm not so sure that we're going to get it ever, okay? So obviously, we need to release the pickaxe. We need to introduce dueling. This is not a brand new concept that I came up with, and I'm almost sure that Sizzle mentioned it too, but regardless, you've seen this online before. How cool would it be? And again, if you were to do something like this, you would need to separate casual and competitive, because the competitive players should not be doing this. I think it'd be super cool if you can offer to duel somebody in a lightsaber duel. I don't know how it would work. I don't know if there's some sort of interaction or some pop-up where you can, like, I don't know. What do Star Wars characters do? They don't have a salute or anything, right? They say, may the force be with you, but do they do any hand motion? You get what I'm saying. Like, let's say, like, it's like you reach out for shaking your hand, right? If somebody comes and accepts that, you can no longer touch any of your weapons. You can no longer build whatever it may be. You just duel. Could you imagine the fun? Could you imagine the clips? Could you imagine the content that could be made and the memories that people could build of having lightsaber duels, a 1v1 at the end of the match? Lightsaber duels are a huge part of Star Wars. People have been doing it in Chapter 2, Season 1, but the lightsabers over time have gotten more and more useless. They also did it in Mega. But I remember clearly how much fun that type of stuff was. If you were to actually introduce something like that, that would make a Star Wars season infinitely more fun. I would also like to see a parry system added, and this is definitely something that Sizzo did suggest. I think it'd be really cool to expand on the lightsaber duels. If you were to especially introduce something like dueling, adding a parry system to it would be cool. Just adding more mechanics in general to make the lightsaber and the melee fights more fun. And of course, like I said, we all need the pickaxes. That would be one of the greatest selling things in the entirety of Fortnite. Dude, I'm not even kidding with you right now. They could release the lightsaber pickaxe in the shop, sell it for like 4,000 V-Bucks, it would sell, right? It totally would. But guys, speaking of a Star Wars season, something I am very excited for is the potential for you to watch this video right here. I finally had a ranking type video that didn't flop, taking a look at the best loading screens from each Fortnite season. You can check out that video here. I would love to have you over there. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Take care.